Hey, there it was. Welcome back, everybody, to a very special episode of Pop Goes the Zebra. Jeremy the ref. Wow, we don't get do-overs. Jeremy the ref. Jesse
We're
the
doing
ref.
it live.
We're doing it live, pal. Such good shit. And joining us today is a very special guest because, as we said in our last episode, we are starting off a brand new month, and this month's theme is going to be the subject of women's wrestling. And joining us today is a very special guest, friend of the show, the lovely Miss Kaia McKenna. Kaia, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
I'm fat and sassy. He's Jesse.
We're all in time before it kills us, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Number one cause of death is being born. So there we go. Let's go. So Kaia, how you doing? Oh, I came up with that one day. I was in the Army. I was out doing like a road march, and I was just trying anything in my head just to keep myself from being bored. And I started just doing witticisms, and that was one of them that popped out. I was like, huh, But anyway, welcome to the show. How are you doing? What's going on?
Well, I guess everything's going well. I've not slept in like 3.5 weeks at this point, so I'm a little tired, but I've really been enjoying the grind. It's been a good month for me, so no complaints. Honestly, like, even when things are hard, like, wrestling is still the greatest thing ever, so I just feel really honored that I get to like do all this wrestling stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they're just between wrestling and the Army. I learned a long time ago that there is nothing like sleeping in your own bed. Like, you could have
I've slept in my car a little bit lately. Hotel, bunk beds, couches, like it's been a tear. I won't be home until October 11th, so I'm still got a couple week or two of the road life.
Doing the road warrior thing.
Yeah, for sure. When it's all said and done, in the past 3 weeks, I'll have been like in my car through at least 15 states. So
that's impressive.
That is impressive.
All while working full time. I work full time while I do all of this.
I'm having a hard time just figuring out how to do my 9 to 5 and do the laundry. Jesus.
I was complaining about my schedule. She's got it way worse than me.
Man, that work ethic's, it's lapping us right now, too.
10 hours today. I took a lunch break between 12 and 1 and went over to the school to do some wrestling and some workout, and then came back and kept working.
Oof. Yeah.
Hold on one second.
He does this. Anyways, while Jesse is away, go ahead and plug the school you're working at right now. Who are you doing the grapples with at the moment?
I am a graduate of the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy in Davenport, Iowa. The coaches there are Seth Rollins and Merrick Brave. It is a phenomenal wrestling school. I feel so honored to have gone there and that I can come back and train whenever I want. So I always try to take advantage of that and, pick their brains because they're two of the minds in wrestling today, right? Like, they're awesome. So just have time in my schedule. So I thought I'd drop in a visit to Davenport, Iowa.
There you go. I've done some time at AAW here and there and everywhere. And
I'm wrestling at AAW Friday.
They do bring in a lot of the Black and the Brave graduates, and I'll tell you what, you're hard pressed to find students better taught than ones coming out of the Black and the Brave. They're top shelf.
Danny's kind of like wrestling granddad, right? Like, if Rollins is dad to us, then Danny's like granddad.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always a great experience there. He's awesome as well. I just, as I go more places and I get to like meet more people and like meet students from other schools and just like people who have come up in different ways, I just feel like it's so great, like, that they taught us all like to work so hard and just to be so respectful and like nice, good humans, because there's so many people out there that are not good humans, and It's not hard. And I've always really liked that at the end of the day, they want us to like reflect well on the school and be very like respectful, nice, polite people.
Absolutely. So what got you into wrestling? What was kind of your inspiration there?
I mean, I just grew up watching wrestling. My family watched wrestling. We used to sit on the couch and watch it together when I was a kid. Like the whole family, dad, brother, mom, grandmother, aunt. Like it was the thing. We all were just wrestling fans. And I loved I always, obviously like the wrestling, the physical aspect is really cool, but I always kind of liked how there were these characters and there were these crazy stories. It's like good guys versus superheroes and villains, right? Guys and bad guys, like whatever you want to call it. And I just love like combative theater. It was so fun. Wrestling's like the greatest in that
It's
sense,
Saturday
right?
Night Live with body slams.
Pretty much.
Everybody says it's a soap opera. No, it's Saturday Night Live.
No, it's amazing. Wrestling's like so great. And to me, that was always the appeal. Is I just liked the characters I liked, and I liked following their little storylines and like seeing who they were wrestling next, and like becoming invested in these feuds and like wanting to see like the babyface win and like the heel really get it stuck to him, And as a kid, it just felt larger than life. Like they felt like superheroes, right? Like
yeah.
Eddie Guerrero, like they felt like superheroes back in the day. So
I love me some Eddie Guerrero. We were recording an episode the other day and Eddie Guerrero was on the TV, and like I'm sitting there trying to like pay attention to the recording process, but like Eddie's on the TV, like hold on, like he comes on, your eyes just go to him.
13, we went to a house show like in middle of nowhere, Maryland, where I'm from, and Eddie Guerrero wrestled Ultimo Dragon at that house show, and it was such a cool in person because like I don't know, it was really cool. I really liked it. I've always been a huge wrestling fan, so even at that age I felt like I appreciated that. Like Eddie was one of my favorites growing up, so it was really cool. I just remember that. I think of how many wrestling shows I've been to and like gotten to experience, and like for some reason that one match just sticks out to me to this day, like almost 17 years later.
Right. It's weird. Like if I look out my window and there wasn't another building between me and it, I could see the building where my mother took me to my first house show all the way back in the early 90s, where the big boss man threatened me with his nightstick because I was jumping around into the different seats because it was an empty, like nobody was there, and it was terrifying, and I was hooked from that point, But wrestling, yeah, like you said, they were like superheroes. For me, they were like my bedtime stories. Some kids, their parents read them the book. No, mom and I would sit on the couch and we'd watch Superstars every night, and that was my bedtime story. So it's always fascinating to hear people talk about their what got them into it, and it almost seems like there's this common thread of grew up watching it with the folks, and it's like that that next generation moving on and bringing their love to the generation following. So it's really cool to see.
No, I agree.
Go ahead.
I agree completely. I think that a lot of people have a lot of good memories of watching wrestling with their family.
And as you got more and more into wrestling, and you found Black and the Brave, what was like the process for you as a woman getting into the business? What was that like for you getting in there? Like, was there any trepidation of like, well, this guy is 7 feet tall, and he's 300 pounds of muscle, like, was there any trepidation?
I was a competitive martial artist before I got into professional wrestling, so like you're used to being around all sorts of individuals of all shapes and sizes that could like actually kick your ass for real. So I had never thought to do pro wrestling, probably because when I was a kid, like wrestlers felt like superhero celebrity superstars. And I was like, who does that? How do you even become like, is that a thing? Like people do. And then I had we're all like at a SmackDown in DC or whatever. I had a friend with us and he was like, have you ever thought about doing this? Like, you could totally do this. Like, you should try it. And I was like, you mean I could do it? Like that's a thing, people do it. So I was like, oh, okay. And I just started going and helping out at small indie shows in Maryland, and then up into Delaware, Pennsylvania, just meeting some people. I started wrestling in a backyard, like just picking up what I could, getting there early and helping out and picking up what I could from people. But then you realize, like, if you want to take this seriously, you got to go to. So that's when I decided to go to wrestling. And then I had to wait a whole year to go to wrestling school. So in that whole entire year, I just drove all around and did as much ring crew as possible so I could meet a ton of people and hopefully have a place to kind of jump from when I graduated.
Well, there you go. I remember like my mind was blown because like, you know, you grow up a fan and generally most people just accept that's all they're ever going to be is a fan. And like, it blew my mind that, you know, there's this thing called independent wrestling. And not only that, there's a small indie promotion 35 minutes from my house. So the second I found that, I was out the door, you know. So it's just crazy that, you know, once the thought enters your head that, hey, you can do this. It's amazing, like the mental gymnastics that goes on, you know. Oh, so
well,
like,
obviously, like I hate to make myself sound like really old because I'm not really old, but I'm not 20. Okay, we'll just leave it there. And nowadays with social media, everybody's super accessible. So like you can go to Twitter, see your favorite WWE superstars tweeting and interacting with commoners on the timeline. But it's like, you know, I really seriously doubt like Stone Cold Steve Austin was interacting with commoners during his run in 1999, right? So it's just the business has changed a little bit in that aspect. And I don't think that people like necessarily see wrestlers as being inaccessible anymore, or just the business as a whole not being accessible, right? Like it's there for the taking if you want it. It's not like this big mystery or like this big pie in the sky thing anymore. So maybe like if I was younger, I would have like if I was a truly younger person, like just now getting into wrestling, I could totally see why I would have started younger. But like you got to remember when I was 20, like wrestling was still very pie in the sky, especially women's wrestling. Like we had Shimmer and you had like Daisy Hayes and like Mischief and oh my God, Cheerleader Melissa and all of these wonderful women, a Serena Deeb, right? But like that was such a small handful of women in the big picture of things. Like women's wrestling really wasn't like a huge thing when I was that age. Like now, like, oh my God, if I was a 20-year-old girl now and I wanted to be a wrestler, hell yeah. Like there's tons of opportunity, right? Now's the time. But like when I was 20, like women's wrestling was just starting to become like a thing. And even then it was still like this very rare, precious thing. It wasn't something that was as widespread as it is now. You know, you couldn't just go get booked on the indies as a woman.
No, it usually, like, I'm old enough to remember wrestling before Twitter came on the scene. It was just like MySpace, then Facebook, and then I was
go back like Friendster and LiveJournal and like maybe the message board where Paul Heyman may or may not have had burner accounts. Like,
what do you mean may or may not have? Come on now. Paul Heyman was posting to those message boards from that big block phone he had before it was even possible to get internet on the phone. Come on now.
Just like Rampage typing on the BlackBerry. Going all in.
He had to hit it multiple times just to get one letter. I'm entertained by the image in my head right now because I can see Paul doing it. You know, like Animal on the drums. He's just going at it, you know.
Yeah, but like overarching, like it wasn't as easy to like get out there or get your shit out there, right?
No, it was trading tapes.
And I wonder, like, how much footage from the indies between like the year 2000 and 2007 just like will never see the light of day because nobody fucking recorded it or nobody has thought to put it out there. It's like tape trading shit. Like how much like IW South like 2004 that will never see the light of day because that was before YouTube. You know?
YouTube and like wasn't really a thing till like 06.
You know, like now
roundabout.
Once or twice a weekend, right? Get a good picture, get a good post that to the Twitter machine and juice it. Just juice, like squeeze and get the juice, right? Like
shout out to Wrestling with Unicorns.
Talk about double shotting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday out here in the Midwest. And I'm just like, that's insane. I can't even imagine doing that. I have so much, I always have had a ton of respect for like both Rollins and Merrick, but like to hear stories like that and just be like, holy shit, like they were grinding and there's like no record of any of this because it's like before social media like took its stronghold. And that's just how much shit happened or out there that like nobody has that nobody has any kind of record of, that may or may never.
Well, I would argue that Rollins would probably say there's a record of it on like his knees, his lower back, and his neck.
Yes, obviously. We're talking about like visual videotape and photographs and stuff, right? It's so easy nowadays with a cell phone to take a video or take a picture. And they had camera phones, I guess, in like 2006, but like they were not as good as the camera phones we have on our iPhones.
Oh, it was like they had somebody trying to record from the flip phone was like, it's like the grainy footage, and you're kind of hoping that somebody set it up right, and like your SD card runs out 3 minutes in.
Yeah, like
I had a little sidekick, and I thought that was really cool, and I thought that was like way like advanced technology for that time period. And they GCW recently just did Emo Fight, and I was like, man, I wonder if like I still have it somewhere to like bring for that show, because that was like such a thing in that time period, was to have that phone.
Yeah, bro, I got this new phone. It shoots in 720.
I had my top dog for a while was the Samsung Propel, because it like had the full keyboard, and then I could flip it up, and it was a great little phone to have. I miss that phone.
I had like one of the Nokia bricks with the snake game in it. Like I remember that. Like
that was like one of my first phones.
I've lost hours of my life to that game. Hours. That and the one like when the internet goes down and the little dinosaurs running across the screen, you got to jump the whatever. But back to the party here. So you started at Black and the Brave. You're getting trained. What were some of like your early inspirations for like what you were going for with your character, and like what did you draw from?
So I always think that like, I don't know, I hate to say I'm a bad actress, but it's like, it would be very difficult for me to try to like go out there into a wrestling ring and be something that I'm not. Like, I do not have the chops to do that. It is much easier for me to just be something that I am. And I am a witch. And I was like, what if I took this part of myself and just kind of made it like more marketable per se, right? Like took like all the finer points out of it and made it into something digestible that like fans could invest in and follow. And that's kind of how I came into like the good witch thing. Like, you kick around, what do you want to do? It's like, it's the hardest question to answer. Most people haven't even answered that question about themselves in their real existence, let alone in their like pro wrestling existence, right? Like how many people really could tell you like, this is who I am as a person in real life, let alone this is who I am as a not real person, as a character. So it sometimes hurts a lot for a lot of people, because it's like, it's not only asking them the question of like, who are you in wrestling, but who are you as a person to get to who you are in wrestling, right? But I always kind of have known that about myself, and it's always been something that like I just enjoy, and it's something that I'm glad that I can share with people, and I feel like there's a lot of meat on the bone creatively with it, and it's it's very like wholesome and nice. It's something that I think appeals to like little kids that watch wrestling. I think people forget a lot of kids like wrestling, especially now. And there's not a whole lot for like little kids to latch onto in wrestling anymore. Like it's all like the business is kind of going in the direction of catering to more people like in our age group. But we forget like kids love wrestling. Like I loved wrestling as a kid, and I loved characters like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Loved like, oh my God, who else did I really like growing up? Like Macho Man, right? Or like
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley, yeah, 100%. Mick Foley was a great example of a great character. Or like even like going into just like the Dudleys, right? Like they characters, right? Like everybody had these characters, and I just thought that was so cool. And like I always try to remember how cool I thought that was as a kid, and I want to make other kids like excited about wrestling, and like find a passion for it that I had when I was younger.
I remember. It was the first MLW show I did. I had been like really making a hard push the last few years. Like I was really trying to get out there. I was trying to get my shit together. I believed in my heart of hearts that I was going to go to television and just be the next Charles Robinson type of thing. And I get on to MLW, and I do my matches, and I'm done, and I kind of sneak into the crowd to watch a show from the hard cam side. And the way the arena's set up, it's got the floor seats, and then it's got the bleachers with the like the little guardrail in front of the bleachers and all that stuff. There's this little kid couldn't be more than 4, just like holding on to the guard, like the second rail, can't even, and just peeking over it. And I'm just, it's happening like 5 feet in front of me. And like, it hit me at that point that my entire like rationale for why I was doing this was completely wrong. And this kid was like literally smacking me in the face, showing, no, that kid is the reason why you should be doing this, because that kid could be the next, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the next Rock, the next whatever. Yeah. It just blew my mind.
Sight of it, like a lot of people in wrestling, like, I mean, I've not been wrestling long enough, like long at all. Like I've only been wrestling a year, so I don't even know if I am within the right to say something like this. But in my 1 year of wrestling, what I have noticed is there are a lot of people in wrestling that forget what it's like to be a fan, like what that truly feels like, like to be so excited to see this match that you've been waiting to see for like 6 weeks, while you've been watching along on your couch and you're just want to see the payoff. Like people forget what that feels like. And I think people also kind of sometimes forget what it's like to be like, from a purely business standpoint in wrestling, I think people sometimes forget what it feels like to be new. It's very easy to lose sight of both of those things, especially as you maybe begin to experience more success or you start to like experience more character growth yourself. But I also, realizing this, those are two things I never want to lose sight of. Like I never want to lose sight of what it feels like to be so excited about wrestling that you're about to like just blast up out of your seat. And I never want to lose sight of what it feels like to be a student and be learning, because that's like such a valuable thing to be willing to be coachable and learn, and like not forget what it feels like to be nervous or unsure of yourself, or like to always kind of put yourself in those situations where you're a little uncomfortable so you keep getting better. I don't ever want to forget that.
I'm closing in on 14 years. I'm still scared shitless when I walk through the curtain. Absolutely scared shitless.
And it's like you think of like the experiences and what it feels like, and like I just hope that, when I'm 15 years into my wrestling career and then I'm working with someone like myself currently who's like a year into wrestling, that I can be that person that helps them like get excited about wrestling and be happy to be doing it and make it a great experience for them, and just maybe spread kindness and compassion that we don't always have these days in a business that's very, very tough and cutthroat.
Oh man, you said a mouthful. Like, when we put this together, this concept, Jesse and I, we really didn't really have any, how do I word it? Like I want to say expectations, but that sounds so like insulting. Like we didn't go into this with any preconceived notions of like what we were going to get out of people, and to hear something like that from somebody so new into the business is so refreshing. Because as you said, there are a lot of people in wrestling that makes this a job and not a passion. And to see that fire and that spirit in people that are still new to the business, it gives me hope that wrestling will be better than how it was when I found it. Because that was one of the first things my mentor taught me was leave it better than you found it.
Yeah, I never want to be the reason that someone loses their passion for wrestling or goes home and cries about wrestling in their car. Like I want
people like that.
Makes wrestling fun and enjoyable in this space to be in, And I hope that moving forward, there are more people who have that mentality, because I feel like there's a lot of power in a group of people who want to spread kindness and compassion.
I can tell you this much: every time we're on a GCW show together, like you may have this giant stack of shit going on, and you have always remained like the most positive and centered professional. And it kind of like you have literally calmed Chris, Adam, and myself down from like whatever stressful situation. So like the way you handle yourself really does reflect on us, because like, oh, well, if Kaia's cool, then we should probably cool down.
You guys, it's wrestling. We're going to get through it no matter what happens. We're going to get through it. Like, you can't.
You remember
you're having a good time. Roll with it.
You remember I was a bundle of nerves right before War Games, just because I was so nervous I wasn't even involved like in the match directly. I was just outside freaking out. And
You're
you're like, you
each
grab me and you're like, calm down.
I mean, because honestly, Jesse, at that moment, what were you realistically going to do? It was so out of your control. You had control over what was going to happen in that cage. The only thing you could do is if something went wrong, guess we're calling the ambulance, brother. I mean, at that point, you just got to accept it for what it is.
See, and that's why, like, if I have you and Dan Perch on a show, there's so
Perch,
much.
Great. I can't wait to see Perch.
So much positivity between
big for Perch.
Yeah, so much positivity with you two. It just, I swear to you, like, just the two of you together in proximity, just the positivity is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, Perch and I are like the two people that could be like picking glass out of people after a death match and just like be like, la-di-da, this is so great. Like it's just,
he is the nicest person in professional wrestling. In fact,
he's so amazing.
I have often said,
I hope he refs my match tomorrow. I'm manifesting that. I hope that I'm lucky enough to get Perch.
I pride myself in some ways on saying this. I can get under anybody's skin if I want to. I have determined that it is impossible to get under Dan Perch's skin. It's impossible.
No. Cucumber 24.
Yeah, you can't do it. Can't do it. He broke the streak.
Am I not a ref, Mark? I don't necessarily know, because when I was at AEW recently, one of the things that I got, this is what like the highlight of my day was. Okay, like this is gonna sound nuts because like you would say, like most people go, what was the highlight of your day? And they tell you something like, oh, I got to meet CM Punk or whatever, or oh, I got to wrestle at AEW, or oh, I got to wrestle so and so, or I got to like talk to fucking Cody, or whatever their highlight of their day is, right? The highlight of my day was going to that match assignment board and seeing that Paul Turner was refereeing my match. I was like, ah! Like I was so excited about that because I obviously, like, I grew up a huge Ring of Honor fan. I've seen him ref some amazing matches, and I just think that it's so cool to be able to be in the ring with somebody who's done so much and been so many places and like been there for so many huge moments in wrestling that people respect these days. And he was just as incredible as I had imagined. He was wonderful to work with, but that was like the highlight of my whole experience, was just getting to have him as the referee in my match. I was so excited about that.
I will say this about referees. There is one referee that has done more for referees in the last 3 years than he gets credit for. And that person is Bryce Rimsberg. Here's why I say that. Bryce Rimsberg did something that people only say in passing when they're trying to be big to their buddies. The referee is the most important thing in the ring. Bryce Rimsberg proved it at the Collective in New Jersey when he literally did a match on his own.
Yeah,
there was nobody in the ring and they were following him the whole time. You cannot do that with two wrestlers, but you can do it with one ref.
Beautiful performance. It was almost like, is that technically like a cinematic to an extent to do a match?
It was a live action cinematic, I guess.
Right? Like, I don't know. People are so uptight about wrestling. I really try to appreciate all the different types of wrestling that are out there. And to see something like that is sticking creative. Like, if you can't appreciate that, just like get the hell out of here.
It was done as haha, but it wasn't really haha when you break down the technicalities of it. He told a story that you usually get anyways. The whoa, hey, don't do that. He's doing all the admonishments and everybody's following this ludicrous story that's not even really happening, but it was happening because Bryce Rimsberg made it happen. So
he made you believe.
Yeah.
He got you in.
And it really just
awesome.
It hammered home the importance of the referee in the match. And there's a lot of people that'll just count 3, ref. Okay, here. Yeah. But I digress. It's not about us tonight. It's about women's wrestling. So were there anybody in particular as far as women's wrestlers that you drew from? Was that even your thing? Yeah,
I've always liked Chyna. I just loved how she just felt like this super like confident, tall, like imposing presence, like that she was so tall and beautiful and powerful and like I just thought she was so cool. There was nobody like China, especially like, you know, being a little girl watching wrestling, like to see someone like China was really fucking cool. I love China. I love Bull Nakano.
Oh,
You know,
is bad.
grew up like a lot of Attitude Era girls. So obviously, I really like Trish. I really like Lita. I love like Jazz, Jacqueline, Ivory, like all those girls, right? Molly Holly. Like I just, you know,
Yep.
they're really doing their thing, and it's so crazy because I feel like you see a lot of like people like going, oh, the Attitude Era was so bad for women, or oh, like the Ruthless Aggression Era was so bad for women, and it's like, but was it really? Because like we had China and we had women having wrestling matches that were like good, and we had like intergender matches. We had like, what was it, Trish and Val Venus against Eddie and China at SummerSlam 2000. Like, what an awesome match! Like the
They main
women were like
evented Raw.
out there, and like that inspired me so much as a girl, like that women could be involved in this business on a physical level. Just thought that was so cool, you know. And so yeah, lots of inspiration to those girls.
You know,
I always thought incredible too.
Who's that?
Gail Kim. I always thought she was incredible.
Gail Kim
absolutely.
does not. I mean, she got her flowers in the end, but I think she deserved a damn rainforest. You know, by the time it was all said and done, I don't think she really ever got the credit she deserved. And she got credit. Like, she was amazing in the ring. What she was doing, she was so ahead of her time. As far as, you know, in North American wrestling, you know, because as you said, we're talking about the backdrop being at the end of the Attitude Era into the Ruthless Aggression Era, where bra and panty matches were more prevalent than a headlock. You know, so just then along comes Gail Kim, and you know she's outworking a lot of the boys on the card. And I think that was really where, you know, even a 14-year-old male like me could even see that, you know, because at that point, you know, women's wrestling was aimed at us for a different reason, and then here comes Gail Kim, and like all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, that girl can wrestle, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. So, or at least I was a huge Ring of Honor fan. I always thought Daisy Hayes was like just such an incredible athlete and performer. That was another girl who was just ahead of her time.
absolutely.
You know? Big love Daisy Hayes out there.
I didn't have the best internet connection, you know, growing up. So, and like I live in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. So like Ring of Honor wasn't something I really got into until recently. Like I was aware of it, but I had no clue how to watch it.
It was when they finally started getting coverage in PWI. And I was like, oh, I can get DVDs. So I would order DVDs. And I remember like going and checking the mailbox for like Ring of Honor DVDs. They had like the buy two, get one deal. And I was like, yeah, let's go. You know?
Hey!
That was 2004, right? Like
nothing like being frugal. That's one of the best F words in wrestling is frugal.
Yes.
There's food and there's frugal, and then there's everything else.
But you gotta have Honor DVDs.
Yeah. And now, as you said, we live in a time where, you know, it just gets thrown on YouTube or it gets thrown onto, you know, a thumb drive, whatever.
On Honor Club, though, like they still don't have all the stuff from like the early mid 2000s. I'm just like, that's crazy. Like, hopefully they get it up there soon. But it's hard to find that. Like,
I was gonna say, I don't even know if they even have access to it.
It's like you have these to this day. Like, that's not all on the internet. At least I've not been able to find it yet. Hey, if there are any like quote digital tape traders out there that have links to that, like hit me up in the DM because I'm looking for that.
Yeah,
so about in the comment section
about that, I may know somebody because when I was breaking in as a referee, I was being shown the Ring of Honor tapes from like 03 or like 04, 05. So I may know somebody that has those. I got to check with them like, hey, do you still have that ROH shit from like back in the day?
Brother knows a brother.
For like All Japan, like Noah, like Battle Arts. I got all that stuff in the archives, but I'm really like trying to get some of that Ring of Honor archives.
Girls rocking Noah. Damn.
Oh yeah,
that's the good shit.
There is like a digital tape. This is a digital tape trading community, but like there definitely is like a group of people on the internet now that like just instead of trading physical tapes, trade archive links that have all of these matches uploaded to them from all these random Animex. Like early, it's like a whole thing. It's like the evolution of tape trading. It's like digital tape trading.
Yeah. I thought it was the coolest thing when the DVD to or VHS to DVD recorder was a thing. You just pop in a VHS and pop in a DVD and just swipe it over. And I remember that's how I got to see like early Chikara stuff was somebody had tapes of it, and then I got to see.
Speaking of Jim out here the other day, we just watched Marufuji versus Kenta from Noah.
Oh, man.
So good.
So good.
And yeah. So like that's like, yeah, I watch all kinds of wrestling.
You
We
know,
could nerd out.
I've been in such a rut lately. Like I couldn't watch wrestling. Just like I was so burnt out. Like I do it and I watched it and I do it and I watch. And I went through like this dead zone. And now y'all are making me want to watch wrestling. You know,
I think that's the thing, right there.
Oh, God.
I've never not been able to watch wrestling in some capacity. I'm always watching wrestling, probably to the point where it drives.
So when I first got in, I got in training to be a wrestler. And one of the first things that my trainer said is, this is the worst mistake of your life because you're never going to be able to look at wrestling the same way again. You're going to know how the sausage is made, and you're never going to be able to put the toothpaste back in the tube. And he was right. I can't look at it the same way.
A fan. It's great. I love it.
I can still be a fan.
I had a beer and I just enjoyed wrestling for what it was, and it was one of the best nights of my life.
I can kind of go back to it. I can't fully go back to it. And in that aspect, he's right. Once you cross that line, there is some stuff that is lost forever. But most of it is still there. It is still there. But like,
is it lost? Just appreciate it in a different light.
Yeah,
probably.
What's funny, my friends, whenever we would have pay-per-view nights, their big thing, they love watching me. Like, if I'm just like, whatever, then they know they don't care. But if they see me suddenly go, oh, wait. Like, if I start reacting to it, like, not as like I know what's going on, but I'm like genuinely reacting to it, like, oh shit, what's going on? They get excited because they're playing off of me because they know, well, he knows everything that's going on. So like the Mania where the Hardy Boys came back, they saw like the most genuine freak out of like, what the fuck? Like freak out me being excited, happy fan moment. So it's like, I get it. Like sometimes I can't turn the worker brain off, but sometimes the worker brain shuts itself off, and I can fall into the moment.
I think that's it. I can't turn this off.
I do that, and I can do that with AEW. I've learned there's so much quality with AEW that I can generally turn my brain off and just go like, I enjoy this. I want more of this. I want to enjoy it. And it's sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. That's my little 2-piece on it, but yeah.
I didn't expect this to be that therapeutic.
They have that effect on people. It's a witch thing. I don't know.
You bring like great healing positive vibe. Like people think it's kind of like whatever, but I'm like, no, every time I'm around Kaia, it's like I can be in like a shitty mood, and then you drop one of your little isms that either you've come up with or your dad's come up with, and then I just walk
isms
away
are the best.
I walk away feeling like, well, I forgot what I was pissed about. So yeah, that's what it is.
It is. It's like I said, I think earlier, just in general, there's a lot of power in just being like a kind person. Like you never really know like what someone's going through, how they're feeling, like what the rest of their week has been like, or what they're stressed about. It's like it really, and it's effortless. Like it is not hard to be nice to people. Like every time I've been mean to somebody, it's been like an effort. It's like chess. But like being nice to somebody is just so easy. Like
takes 3 muscles to smile and however many to frown.
Being crappy, like it's so much more effort, like whether you're aware of it at the time or not. But there have been times where I've been like crappy or just like not in a good mood, and I'm like, wow, it actually was like I was really trying. Like so much easier to just like be happy.
Oh, buddy. Be happy. I've been seeing that damn Billy Mouth Bass thing on TikTok, and that's been in my head all day. I'm so glad I got it out. You know, I am.
This is a therapy session.
I'm old enough to remember when those things are real.
Oh, yeah.
Like when those things first came out. That's how old I am.
I remember those.
Oh.
Are you saying I don't think I look old?
No, you don't. I'm just saying that I know I'm old. Like, I'm damn near 35 years old.
Oh my God.
I just turned 34 the other day, and we're working on 35.
Okay, I'm 31. So all this.
No, you're still behind me though. You'll never be as old as me.
Actually, I will say, to be fair, like 10 years in wrestling time, a long time. 10 years in wrestling time is a long time. And I say that because when I was 20 and like what I thought was cool in wrestling versus like what kids that are 20, I say kids like I'm old, but kids that are 20 now, what they think is cool in wrestling, like so much has changed in 10 years wrestling. Like, and what was cool, like what I thought was cool growing up is like not cool anymore, I felt like there was a huge paradigm, like generational shift when Ring of Honor started like fading out and PWG started becoming more prominent. And then you had a lot of people that really appreciated that like technical, like hard hitting old school Ring of Honor style, like either find success in wrestling or move on or whatever. And then the younger generation, like what was put right in front of them was like people like the Young Bucks or even like Steen and Generico, like having these like crazy, insane car crash style matches that nobody had ever seen before, right? So like if you grew up on that, like it's different. It's totally different. It's like a whole different way of operating and functioning when it comes to wrestling. And it's only like a 5-year window in which that shift occurred. So you have like a lot of people that like grew up on the Ring of Honor style, and you have a lot of people that grew up on that PWG style, and they're like two completely different styles in some respect, or like just ideologies about wrestling and what it should be and how it should go. So, and I feel like it's like a kind of like the Monday Night Wars, but like you have two different generations of people invested in wrestling that feel very strongly about how it should be,
Yeah, and
wrong.
Yeah, when I started, like the first 6 or 7 years, I was working at a place that had this ideology that wrestling was only ever going to be what it was in the 70s and 80s. Brother with the peroxide hair, and they have arms, but they got a gut, and they're all the Four Horsemen, and that's all it ever is, and it's a punch, a choke, and a kick for 15 minutes. And then I started working at like AAW, and you got guys like Pentagon and Phoenix, Sammy Callahan, and Mustafa Ali, and ACH, and they don't work like Ric Flair 1983 at all. It was like my eyes went, what is this?
Yeah.
So like,
but I love that there's so many different like pockets in wrestling, and like different, I always say like donuts, right? Wrestling's like donuts. You can get a box and put whatever flavors of donuts you want in it. And there's so many different donuts out there now. And the cool thing is you didn't got to eat donuts you don't like.
This is true.
If you want a box of deathmatch donuts and nothing else, you take that dozen and go about your happy way, man. Like
the way that I look at it, it's like I tell people, like it's like movies. Like you may be into the Marvel movies and don't like DC. Well, don't go see a DC movie. You might like horror movies, but don't like comedy. Don't go watch Happy Gilmore if you like horror movies. Like wrestling's the same thing. If you like Memphis wrestling, well, go watch Memphis wrestling. If you want to watch flippy stuff, go watch this. Like just because it's out there doesn't mean you have to watch it. I don't understand. And I'm a big proponent of like, just let people fucking enjoy shit. Like, stop being. Look at what's going on in the world. Just let people have their enjoyment at this point.
I agree 100%. I always tell people, like, I get asked actually on podcasts and interviews a lot, like, do you like AEW or do you like WWE? Which one do you like more? And I'm like, I like wrestling and I enjoy watching all kinds of wrestling, and that's all I got for you. Sorry. Like, we're not going to go on a huge spiral about wrestling because I like wrestling too much to do wrestling dirty like that.
I like my vanilla ice cream. Damn it. You have to like vanilla too. No time for those conversations. Oh God. Where would you like to see the direction of women's wrestling go by the time you've hit like the 15-year mark? Like, where would you
honestly
like to see
I just want it to be a regular part of a wrestling show. I don't want it to be like its own thing. I don't necessarily want it to be like more dominant than men's wrestling. I just want to see it like a fair shake where it's like the cards are 50-50. You have women's matches and you have like men's matches, you know, like almost to the point where like it's like gender doesn't really matter. It's just wrestling matches with like a very diverse pool of talent. And I hope that, and it seems like it's starting to go that way. I hope it just continues to go that way. I think that like all women's shows are great. Like I love seeing that. I love like what Drew's doing at WWR Plus Beyond. I think that's incredible. Giving a platform to so many girls that are like up and coming where we can just work regular matches with other women on a card that's all women with like female commentators. And that's just awesome. So just seeing more movements like that and just making it like more the norm where it's not like, oh, it's like the gimmick match. Like, oh, we have the tag match. Oh, we have the comedy match. Oh, we have the women's match. It's just a match, you know, like it's just another match on the card that has solid wrestling. It's very entertaining and there's characters, just like everything else going on. That's what I would really like to see is that it just becomes like the norm to have women prominent in wrestling. And having just as many matches on shows as men. You know, I think sometimes it's not that there aren't women in wrestling. It's just that there's not a lot of women's matches being booked at the higher level, whether that higher level be TV or bigger indies. You know, there's always rumor there could be more women's matches being booked.
Absolutely. Like
it becomes like the norm that there's like just as many women's matches as anything else. But
which is why I think it's important that you have places like Shimmer out there where, you know, women get a chance to really showcase because, as you know, you said,
I would love to wrestle a match at Shimmer just because, like, you know, growing up, that was one of the first women's wrestling promotions I remember watching. And I think it would be a really cool thing to do. I mean, I've hit some pretty big check boxes so far for only being wrestling a year, but I have not been to Shimmer yet. And that's definitely on my list for 2022 is to go to Shimmer.
You know, give it time, keep working. You never know what's gonna. Hey, you know what they always say? Wrestling's a small place. You just never know who's watching. And I'm wanting to say I saw an article saying that Dave Prazak was starting to work with GCW, if I'm not mistaken.
He's been doing some commentary.
Yeah, so like, I think that the door is definitely wide open for that.
That would require me to not be running around like a chicken with my head cut off for 5 minutes to have a conversation with them. So we'll see if that happens.
There you
okay.
Go. There you go. Well, at least at least you know what you got to do. I might have
to be like, okay, like all this ring crew stuff's gonna have to wait for 5 minutes because I got to go talk about.
Oh my God! Did you hear what she just said? She says she's too good for ring crew.
Yeah, for 5 minutes.
SF, you know.
you don't even want to know.
You know that
the ring crew shit I've done, brother. Like, I mean, I'm not a big grizzled bet. I'm still a greenhorn, but I have definitely done a good fair share of ring crew in my short.
You have seen some shit. You have seen some absolute shit. Because I've been at those shows and was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not in her shoes today.
Yeah.
Tampa. That's all I have to say.
It's so interesting because people think ring crew is setting up a ring and setting up chairs, and like when there's so much more to what makes a wrestling show work than that.
Yeah, those are two things that you do.
Yeah.
It's two of
like
things.
I joke around and I do actually say like Kaia is the backbone for GCW. Like
that's a good moniker to have.
I mean that as in like you wear so many hats that people are unaware of, and you like those of us who know appreciate it and tell you all the time how much we appreciate it.
Appreciate it when you guys tell me.
Yeah,
but I always think it's like so funny now. Like I've been meeting people that like, so when I did my match on AEW Dark Elevation, apparently there was just like maybe 500 people that regularly come to GCW that have now been seeing me there for almost 2 years and had no idea I was a wrestler. That's crazy.
And now they're going to look at you like, wow. You know, it's going to be one of those things. Like, I don't think that you're going to be doing the ring crew and stuff that you're doing for very much longer. I got a feeling once you've got that door kicked in, it's going to be way different. You're going you'll be back there with us getting ready for the shows. And I'm like, hey, Kai, I got your match. What are we doing? And that's going to be, I have never ref one of your matches and I'm waiting for it. I can't wait to ref one of your matches.
I know. I've got to get down your. I think he has everybody, at least like in our little circle, has, except for you at this.
Yeah, it's like
I've had Adam, I've had Gina, I've had Bankos, I've had Chris a few times.
Yeah, I've never refed one of your matches. Get down to New South. I'm working on trying to get some of those kids down there soon.
Yeah, like I would love to come by. There's plenty of people up in my area. We could definitely make a trip out of it. We'll have to circle back about that.
Well, I'm supposed to come up that way in December, and I think Chris had mentioned me possibly coming up to Leapfrog.
Oh yeah,
Finally.
there's November 27th we have a Leapfrog show. So
it was something about the Christmas trios. I remember.
Oh,
that
okay,
much.
that I'm not entirely sure. That is like I haven't even filled in on that. I would like to know, since I do all the graphic design for Camp Leapfrog, what's going on with that, so I could, part of me, get that ball rolling. Because when I was just first like starting this past year and I had free time on my hands, like I could take on a bunch of projects, but it's like, man, I haven't been home in 4 weeks. Like that's crazy. It happens so quick. So it's like weird having to like learn how to reprioritize all your time.
Y'all are saying the word Christmas and you're giving me like shakes and like cold sweats. I'm like, oh no, we're at that part of the year.
Yeah, we're getting there. Like, dude,
No.
like today is, as we're recording, this is the last day of September. We're going into spoopy season, and I'm so excited. I want all the spoopy stuff.
Jesse,
it's my time. It's spooky season. I am the good witch.
We've talked about this. It's not spooky season. It's soup season. Okay, it is soup season. Fat people need representation too.
Okay, yeah, no, again, I can't wait, because like I've got friends that will be doing like the nice soups and the nice chilies. Like this is my favorite time of year for Ghostbusters. Like we're getting ready to do all these cool things, and
I don't have to feel self-conscious about my body image. It's the winter. It's the cold time. Oh.
All right. Yeah.
But back to wrestling. Where can people keep up with you on social media?
I have Twitter and Instagram. The handle is at Kaia MCK. So KAIA MCK. I have a Facebook page with the same handle as well that I've been starting to put wrestling stuff on. I had been avoiding Facebook like the plague because it just drives me nuts.
It's horrible.
Yeah, so like definitely you're better to follow me on Twitter or Instagram for sure. I have that, and then I have a Big Cartel where you can buy Good Witch merch. So it's KaiaMcKenna.bigcartel.com. And there's all kinds of fun stuff there. Pug t-shirts, pins, enamel pins. What else? I have stickers, 8x10s, all kinds of goodies. I don't know. I try to
stickers.
I do too. Stickers are the best merch. Not everybody's gonna always have $20 for a t-shirt, but you guarantee people have money for stickers.
I want
stickers stuff.
I want to start decorating my gear bag with like all the stickers like that. Like
I got to get a new bag for that.
Right. Because like my buddy gave me some Cobra Kai stickers because I'm big into that. So like I'm just gonna start collecting stickers and just like just putting it all over my bag so it looks cool. We'll have to get some Kaia McKenna stickers.
I can definitely. If you give me your, I'll send a couple down your way.
Oh, you are the best. Before we get out of here, we like to ask our guests if they have any good non-incriminating stories of something you've seen on the road, something funny, something hilarious, something a little weird, anything in between. Got anything good for us?
Honestly, like, this is going to sound so sad, but where I live and where I'm based out, there's not a lot of people on my route. So I do a lot of drives by myself.
I feel you there.
Yeah. Hopefully I can get some buddies coming soon and get some really cool road stories going. But most of my road stories are me pulling over on the side of the road to do work before a wrestling show because I didn't want to ask off from work.
Yep.
Hey, as long as it gets done, I don't think they care.
felt like if I was 20 and doing this, I probably would have like more meat on the bone for you, but I feel like I've kind of calmed down. Like I was definitely not a great kid. So
Who was?
yeah,
Oh, I was horrible.
that's
Oh,
an idiot
same.
is an adult. Imagine that. Like it's
Can you imagine?
no. I can't. I could not imagine like trying to do wrestling at 20. Like that is a whole thing. Like wrestling is a lot. Like an adult with a job and a dog and a car and like stability. And I'm like, man, wrestling is a lot. I can't imagine trying to do this like pretty much being like 19 or 20 and not ever having like been out in the real world and like not ever having to have interacted with people and an existence outside of high school. Like that's got to be such a crazy learning curve and a
It
crazy
was.
have. Yeah, I don't have.
It really was. Like I broke into wrestling when I was still in I was a sophomore in high school. So like my junior and senior year consisted of being around wrestlers more than high schoolers. And then, when I turned 20, I was in the Air Force. So I was around that group of people. Then when I came home, back to wrestling. Like I don't know what normality is.
Same. I was doing Army simultaneously at 19. I was doing wrestling and I was doing Army, and like it was so weird. You're one day you're in the locker room environment, the next day you're in the Army environment, and back and forth. It was like, what is normal? But anyways, this has been an awesome conversation, awesome episode. Kaia, we would love to have you back on. We want to thank you for joining us. But before we wrap this up, Jesse, I believe you have some words of wisdom for us.
Oh, which is even more important because now I am a person of absolute authority at my job. And it means even more now that you do not add to the population. You do not subtract from the population. And please, God, don't be the reason why I have to type up a new safety briefing on Monday.
Please don't. So with that being said, this is the crew of Pop Goes the Zebra and special guest Kaia McKenna wishing everybody on Earth a good night, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.